Welcome to What Matters Water TV and Podcast, a new forum that looks at addressing emerging issues and personalities tackling California water challenges. I am Charlie Wilson, the Executive Director of the Southern California Water Coalition and your host for this series. Today, we're here with Adel Hagekhalil, the new General Manager of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, the largest wholesale water agency in the U.S. serving more than 19 million Californians. You'll want to hear how he's thinking differently about water, the lessons he learned when things went horribly wrong, and for fun, how his cooking style and his leadership style match up.
It's funny you asked that. I love food, and to me, I don't follow recipe. That's my problem. People are surprised because I'm an engineer. I should just follow the recipe by the book, and I'm not. I just go out, open the fridge, and I'll just make up something, and it will taste good. And it's just my creation. I love feeding people because I believe strongly that breaking bread and having a meal with people actually brings tension down.
Throughout his career, from his time as president of the National Association of Clean Water Agencies to overseeing LA City's wastewater, stormwater, and watershed programs as the assistant director of the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation, try to get that all out in one sentence, and most recently by delivering integrated multi-benefit infrastructure as the general manager of Los Angeles's Bureau of Street Services, Adel Hagekhalil has championed a holistic approach to water and infrastructure. Now that he's the general manager at the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, Adel brings his One Water agenda for securing water resilience through integration, innovation, and inclusion, along with his commitment to bringing all of Met's member agencies and stakeholders to the table to enhance local supplies and to deliver on Met's promise for reliable, affordable water to the region. That's quite an introduction and a lot on your plate and a lot of history. Adel, welcome to What Matters. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Charlie, and thank you for having me on your show here.
I got to start sort of getting the elephant in the room out of the way, because as you know, it's really common knowledge that in California, and particularly water in the West, it's pretty fractious. And frankly, going through your selection process, you brought together these vastly diverse interests, some of whom have been warring with each other for decades to support you to become the next general manager at Metropolitan. I got to start with, can you speak to me on what, that acknowledged ability that you bring to these very disparate interests together? What does that say about your agenda now that you're in that captain's seat at Metropolitan?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a humbling opportunity to be part of and lead Met into the future. But really, it's humbling to bring people together. And all throughout my career, as you were mentioning, Charlie, I brought people together. And one of my strengths is stakeholder engagement, listening, building coalitions, and building collaborations. And most of the time, most people are at different ends of the issue. But I think what people have been needing across our region is a ability to voice their issues, their interests, and have somebody to listen and integrate that into the plan for our future of water across our region. To me, I believe, and I've said that clearly, that we are all one. And if you've seen me wear the button and the campaign, we all come together, and we cannot move forward and address these tough issues on water resiliency, shortage of water supply, generating more local water, addressing the balance between the environment, urban use, and agriculture, whether it's in the Colorado or in the Bay Delta. We cannot do that unless we're working together. And we're much stronger when we're together. We can do a lot of things when we are together. We can advocate for things at the state level, at the federal level. And I believe I'm a person that can, if you heard somebody from NRDC testify when I was being considered by the board, the gentleman said, we were at odds with Adel on many issues, but we were able to respect him, and because he was able to listen and bring us together and build trust And we basically, our voice was heard and we came to a compromise. Because I believe there's nothing in life that is black and white. There's always a gray area that we need to be operated in. It's a compromise area. And I believe this is an opportunity in our career. I call it the second Mulholland moment. It's the moment where we need to come together to take bold actions, to invest in local water supply, to invest in storage, to invest in conservation, to help underserved communities, and also restore our environment, protect the habitat, address the issues that we've been dealing with. But all that can be done when we listen. And I think my history over the last 32 years was about collaboration, whether when I was in NACWA or when I was in LA Sanitation, resolving the sewer spill with the baykeepers and the water keepers, the state and the federal government and the community groups. I was able to bring them all together after 4 years of litigation to say, hey, we all have one thing in common, is protecting the water quality in our community. We all have the same thing in common in the water area. We want to create resilient, safe, reliable, affordable water. We all can agree on it. And if you can ask anyone, we all agree on. So if you bring that kind of overarching common goal, we may disagree on the how. And I think if we start working together in transparent ways, in open ways, in collaborative ways, we can get done. And one example I'll say, Charlie, I think what you have done in the Southern California Water Coalition is an example of what I call the tent. I say we need to make the tent bigger and bring everybody inside the tent. Nobody should be outside. If you're outside, you basically are criticizing what's going on inside the tent. I'm saying to everyone, hey, let's go inside the tent. Let's make the tent as big as we can because we're all in this together.
Well, that's you're very kind, and it does remind me the admonition that Natural Resource Secretary Wade Crowfoot gave us a couple of years ago on the development of the governor's water resiliency portfolio, where he was pretty direct. It was either comment and be part of my development, because after it's published and you haven't, I don't want to hear from you. So it's encouraged to get in up front. And so you use the term collaboration. We use that term collaboration a lot. And what people don't often realize when you start talking about people like Metropolitan, this is really like a nation state that you're trying to provide water services to for almost half the state of population, the state of California. So I then have to ask then, so as you envision collaboration, how do you see collaborating not just within Southern California, which is really diverse by example of your board, but then with Governor Newsom and what he's laid out as his resiliency portfolio, and as you mentioned in your opening comments, that congressional delegation, Washington, D.C., because none of this do we operate in a single silo. I mean, we really kind of have to have both the nation and the state as part of that resolution. So how does that play into your One Water agenda?
So exactly what you said, Charlie, is what we do here in Southern California. It benefits and has a huge impact of what happens across the entire state of California on the Bay Delta, but also has a huge impact on the 7 states, the 2 nations, and the 5 tribes along the Colorado. And I when 2016, when I worked on developing the water resiliency report for the US under President Obama, one thing that was clear, and it was not recognized until then, and it was under the Homeland Security Office, that water is a Homeland Security issue. It's life, it's jobs, it's economy. And to me, my message has been, and then my message will continue to be, investing in Southern California, investing in our local water supply, investing in how we manage water here in Southern California is going to help resolve the issues across our state, and also will help us deal with the shrinking water supply along the Colorado, and we need to resolve that. So I've been talking to the Senators Padilla and Feinstein. I've been talking to the Congress members, Napolitano. I'm testifying next week at Congress about this issue. At the board recently, at Tuesday, they approved agreement with the Arizona state and with the Central Arizona Project on contributing to our regional recycled water program here, as Southern Nevada has done, because they see that investing in us is really helping resolve this issue. And I'm working with the state, with Wade, with Jared and Carla and the governor's office, Anna, and everyone, on really moving forward on addressing these issues around the Delta. I think, to me, and I'm with my friends in the environmental community, what I've said to them is we need to create a balance, and this cannot happen overnight. We can't just say, just let the water run through and let's forget about it. And there's 19, 20 million people in Southern California alone. There is their agriculture needs across the region. But I think we can find a balance. And to me, the balance we can find is through an iterative, collaborative process that we use science, we use data, we start building the blocks to move forward to create the balance between all these things. And I tell you, it's all these things come together. And my message to everyone is we need to work together to ensure we have funding coming from the federal government, funding coming from the state, for us to really enhance our conservation, address our underserved communities, address the leaky pipes, build storage. And what we've done in Diamond Valley Lake and in 2000 is a bold action. And today I'm challenging everyone. We need the same bold action to help our communities in the west side of our region that are dependent on the state water project. And I cannot believe that we're in 2021 and we are still are concerned about the issues about having a very low allocation from the state water project. We have to have diverse portfolio. We owe it to our ratepayers. We owe it to our members to do that. I'm going to come in and build that collaboration. The same thing, the same energy that was used to build the Colorado Aqueduct, to bring water from, the Sierras. The same collaboration that made Met great is the same thing. I'm reinventing Met to be the Met that brings people together. And for a long time, we've been getting away from this collaborative and trying to do it on our own. And this is time to come back together and say, hey, we need to take care of everyone. And to me, like the example I'll just use on the Salton Sea, without bringing our partners in the Imperial Irrigation District to the table, to the tent, to help us resolve the issues around the Colorado, we cannot do that. They have the highest allocation and they have the highest priority. But their biggest issue is, what do you do with the Salton Sea? So now we are advocating at the federal level to help fund restoration of the Salton Sea and protection of the Salton Sea. Last week, I think this week, Arizona sent a letter of support. Nevada sent a letter of support. We sent a letter of support. We just settled the lawsuit with Imperial Irrigation District. I'm hoping in the next few weeks, I'll be traveling to El Centro to meet with them. I'm going next week to Vegas. I'm going to San Diego for a meeting in November to start the dialogue on settling the lawsuits with San Diego. We are here right now to put our differences aside, come together, and let's create a holistic plan for the future. I call it One Water.
Well, and that's a great segue, because you've got the pin, you mentioned it, and it's a terrific campaign. But help me define what if you were to to the John Q. public on the street, what does One Water mean in the clearest possible way? What do you mean when you talk about One Water?
So One Water is if you look at a puzzle, One Water is a puzzle you're putting together. And the puzzle basically saying, to get to a resilient water supply, to an affordable water supply, all these puzzles have to come together. And that's what's called One Water. One of the puzzles is collaboration, inclusion, stakeholder engagement, diversifying the portfolio of water, capturing and reusing water, addressing underserved communities. All these pieces, you put them together, you come with One Water. So One Water is really what it's saying is, it's a planning for the future of how we're gonna meet our demand gap, how we're gonna survive over the next 100 years, and how we do it when we are collaborating, addressing all the issues, diversifying our portfolio against climate change, how we do it together, and then have a resilient, sustainable funding. So right now we're finishing the integrated resource plan, which identified the gaps and the scenarios. And now the job that will start in 2022 is taking that and developing a holistic one water plan that talks about the implementation, the how to meet that gap in a resilient, environmentally friendly and sustainable and affordable way. And we're gonna do it and then put the amount of money we need and let's figure out how we're gonna fund it. And it's, to me, it's, and that's when the message that I said earlier, when we show the amount of money and how we're gonna do it and the benefit to everyone else around us, we can really help move forward and do the things that people have done before us.
I love that visual of a jigsaw puzzle. And I may want to work with you on branding that, because I think we can, maybe we can sell some puzzles and help people understand how Southern California comes together. So we talked in the open about, leadership. And I have to say, usually I jokingly reference, by the time you're ready for city council or for the rough and tumble aspects of Los Angeles politics, you usually go to the state legislature, to Congress, to learn what you got to do. In this case, you grew up in what is a kind of a rough and tumble, very diverse atmosphere within Los Angeles. Share with me from that experience examples of leadership or collaboration at the city that kind of trained you, sort of got you to where you are, and the lessons you learned that you're now bringing to Metropolitan.
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you, Metropolitan is a diverse service area, diverse directors, diverse views, 38 board members. I'll just honor that I have been quickly able to reach out to all of them and really establish the respect and trust with all of them. To me, in Los Angeles, working with, I don't know how many mayors, I think I started my career during, I think in '89, and I think Mayor Bradley was then, and then I saw the change to Reardon and to Hahn and to Villaraigosa, and then to currently to Mayor Garcetti. And it's interesting, and you see the council member change from the old school council members to the new, what I call post term limits council members, which is a different thing, is a different interest. But one thing that what all of them want, they want the best for their community. They want to basically show that they're providing the service. And to me, when you are straight with them and you talk straight to all of them and show them what the community want and you deliver on what you say, things move forward. So one of the biggest, I think, accomplishments I made is the planning for the One Water LA, where the IRP. For a long time, we were planning for water in silos. The wastewater program was planning for water separately. The Department of Water and Power is planning for the water supply separately. And we came in 1991 and 1990, said, we have to break the silos. And we need to bring something. And I had to go sell it to the council members and the mayor. But the biggest issue was, I suggested we do stakeholder involvement and bring the stakeholders in. Everyone was afraid of that. And I said, how can we go out and get things done if the stakeholders are not involved? And the good thing about it, we're able to bring a diverse stakeholder group that represented not just the environmental community, not just the business community, involved the community at large. And we actually had great discussion. We looked at the issues, looked at deficiencies, looked at the future, identified what needs to be done. And that's why the stormwater reuse came out. It grew out of that discussion. And then we moved to Proposition O that had almost 68% approval. Then we moved to Measure W recently with the county, $300 million a year in stormwater capture. That was also the same thing in the 60, 68, 67% approval rating, because we built stakeholders and we built trust. And we start building things to show them what it looks like to do. When we moved to when we had the lawsuit in with the LA waterkeeper on the sewer overflows that we had in El Nino 1998, millions of gallons of sewage overflew into our communities in East LA and South LA. And a lot of it was because we did not invest in the infrastructure. And we know what it means when you have aging infrastructure, undersized infrastructure. We got sued by the communities in South LA. We got sued by the LA waterkeeper. We got sued by the state, the federal government. For 4 years, we couldn't settle it. We couldn't reach an agreement because nobody would acknowledge. And then I stepped in and I asked if we can really start working together on it. And I built that relationship. And we start using data to help us analyze. And then we're able to identify what are the things that are causing the problem. And we start dealing with it one at a time. We built trust. And we agreed to one thing is we all want safe water, clean water, and healthy communities. We all have the same thing in common, but we didn't know how to do it. So what we decided to do is let's agree on a plan moving forward. Let's show the results and let's track it regularly. And we're able to get an agreement, a 10-year agreement that showed that reduced spills by 90%, enhanced the quality of life in our communities. We created a stakeholder process just for the community in South LA to help guide us. And then to me, when you build that trust, we can accomplish the results you want. And then my whole thing with the council was, how do I sell them on the rate increase to support the funding? and that was a big ask. But at the end of the day, they saw that it's better to know what you're spending the money. It's going back to the community instead of just having to pay attorney fees, legal fees, and the end nobody is gaining power. So at the end, we were able to come together. I had one-on-one meetings with council members, and I had meetings at dinner at night to get them to see this as a good thing, show them the results and if we don't agree to this, the potential impact on the ratepayers. And I was able to bring them together. And when I did the stormwater measure W, last thing I kind of pushed forward on is the getting the business community behind it. You know, initially the business community, BizFed and the chamber were against it. And I had to go in myself and advocate, meet, over dinner, over lunch, in meetings, to get them to see that really this is a good thing. And the big question for them is, we don't want to double pay. And I said, great. So at least we know what we're disagreeing on. Let's give a credit to the people that have invested in stormwater management. So I think, to me, if you listen, you bring what brings you together and put that on the table, rebuild trust by getting some small wins to show, hey, we can move forward. It's amazing what you can do. And I tell you, in Streets LA, the last thing I did is I was able to bring in over $200 million in like a year from this integrated solutions, because I was able to get the state, the California Transportation Commission, and others to see this potential of shade, shelter, stormwater capture, integration, and show the example of what's doable, because it's not just improving the quality of life for people. It's the right thing to do. And I'll tell you, it's asking people to support my vision has been something I'm blessed that we're able to really build support. And most people want to do the right thing. If you are straight with them, you listen to them and integrate their ideas into the process.
Well, and that's what I love about you, that clearly this is not a 9-to-5 job as most people would look at, government, right? They clock in, they clock out. But literally, from the time that we met, and we were very privileged when you were at LA Sanitation, you were our very first stormwater task force chair. And so I got to meet and your passion for stormwater and the opportunity there. And there's a terrific story about how things came together for you and the lessons you learned within the city. But like almost like a job interviews, I love that when adversity is part of your leadership development. Is there any lessons that you picked up when things just went horribly wrong or things just didn't go quite the way you thought? Does that serve as part of a learning tool for you as well? Is there anything that sort of sticks out to say, you know what, this may not have gone the way I thought it would, but here's what I really learned and how I apply things now going forward?
A couple of things I'll share with you. During my career as what I tell people as I was going through reform as an engineer, rehab, I got, trying to learn how to work with people, how to talk to people. I was working on a project, which my vision was to build wetlands in our community, constructed wetlands for stormwater capture, stormwater treatment. And we're able to build some of them in South LA, in South LA wetlands, and in the heart of South LA. And also we're building one in the valley, in Sun Valley, with the county. Great work. But initially, when I was working on it, we have a treatment plant in the Sepulveda Basin in the valley that had to comply with the discharge of nutrients, ammonia, into the LA River. And one way you can do it, you can go and upgrade the plant and put intensive modification that takes energy, reduces the capacity, or you can build a natural constructed wetland that can consume nitrogen, right? Which I thought was the greatest solution. Bring in this new habitat and beautiful thing can be and I was hoping to bring stormwater in. So we spent a lot of time getting council members out to see locations across the country. I was getting people supporting it, and it's moving in the right direction. So I had like 40 meetings and building the support. The easiest one I thought would be is to have a meeting with the wildlife committee in the Sepulveda Basin. And I had this meeting at night, and I was coming in with this perfect PowerPoint presentation of what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, how it's going to be. And I had the Audubon Society, the Wildlife Committee, the Canada Goose Project representative. And I thought that should be the easiest. Everybody's going to say, hey, we love you, let's do it. How can I give this presentation? And they're fighting me. And I didn't know what to do. So I couldn't get them to support this. So at 9 o'clock at night, I'm kind of, done. And I asked my friend who was the head of this Canada Goose Project, and I said to her, can we just talk for a few minutes? And she said, yeah. So I said, what went wrong? and she said to me, she goes, it was your idea. It was just purely yours. You came in with a perfect solution, and they had no place to put their input in. And she said, if you came in with just a blank piece of paper and asked them to give you input, and then walked away, and a few months came back with the same presentation, they were supported 100%. And that for me was an aha moment, right?
That's very powerful.
Yeah, and to me, I learned from that day, you engage people early. You don't go after you fixed it and figured it out and built everything and say, hey, this is what you need to support. They're gonna say, no, where's my idea? So to me, that was a lesson that I've learned, and I shared with my staff, my leadership team. And the last thing I want to add, when things go wrong, is when emergencies happen. April 2018, Easter Day, I got a call about a kid that fell in the sewer, and I jumped from I was in Huntington Beach, went all the way down to the LA Zoo area by the river, and I had a team of staff working, looking for the kid, and I can see the family crying, don't know what their 13-year-old kid, where is he? And we kept working all night long, trying to see where is that kid. And we had staff working. And I was there with them all the way, keeping them motivated to keep looking and not give up. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, I got the call. There was one location. We figured out that maybe he's there. We closed the freeway on the 134 freeway, opened the manhole, and here he is in the manhole waiting for us. That for me, I cried, but I felt proud of the people, the hard work. But what you needed at that point, somebody that could keep people going. And I will stand with people no matter what the issue is. If I expect you to do the work, I'm gonna be ahead of you doing the work. You're not gonna be alone. And we all face emergencies and urgencies, and you need to be straight up with people. But at the same time, never give up and empower your staff and acknowledge them. And that's what I've been doing across my district here, going out and trying to learn from the staff, meet everyone from the desert, from Gene Camp all the way down to Las Virgenes, to Weymouth plant, to Skinner plant. I've been going around because I believe our strength is in the people we serve and the people that work for us.
Well, I can clearly say, just in the few years that we've known each other, and by watching your very early days, having taken charge as a general manager, nobody is going to outwork you. that is a pace that if others within the organization try to keep up with just a modicum of your energy, that's a dynamic group of folks that you have at Metropolitan, and I think there are really good things coming. But I also hear from you just from within, and I'm sorry to get, if I get personal and kind of get away from policy issues for a while, but there is a passion that comes from you that I've not heard from a lot of people in a long time. And obviously, because I've heard you talk about it, but your heritage and your cultural background, how does that inform, and how does that, what do you bring with that that's new perhaps to this kind of a leadership position?
That's a good question, because it's a personal, but I'm proud of my heritage as Arab American, as an immigrant. It's hard. I came to this country with 2 bags. Working hard is what immigrants do every day. Just to prove yourself, to validate that you belong. And it's important for us to support people every single day. I'm so proud of this opportunity in this country that gave me the chance. And we need to do the same thing right now for people. I shared something that my son, when he was 5 years old, he had a medal from Jackie Robinson. And he showed it to me. And in the back of that medal, it said, life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. And that's what I live by every single day. I worked hard to be where I am today. I want to give people the same opportunity to be where they are. That's why I believe in serving underserved communities. That's why I want to give opportunities to people that did not get a chance in life, give people a second chance. So I'm going to work in workforce development, give a pipeline for people that need second chance. During my work at Streets LA, I was able to bring 200 people from our target local hire, people that had no chance in life. And I met with them again 2 years later, and all of them have a home, a backyard for their kids to play in. I asked the question, how are you doing? And they said, oh, we're doing well. Our family is doing well. We're thriving. To me, what made us great as this country is how we were together, how we respected each other, respected the diversity that we have. No matter what difference are, we need to give people opportunity. We need to give people opportunity to excel. We may not all have the same privileges, but if you work hard, things work out. And I've worked hard, and I'm not going to stop working hard for people.
Oh, that clearly comes across. So let me lighten it a little bit, because these are other things that we sort of bring to our workspace. But I have spies in certain places, and I have this little bird. He told me, and I actually experienced with you once. You're kind of like the Anthony Bourdain of ethnic food spots in LA, but you also like to cook.
Yeah.
So what does your cooking taste tell us about your leadership style?
Lynn,
is that a lot of spice? There's certainly a lot of action going on in that kitchen.
It's funny you asked that. I love food, and to me, I don't follow recipe. That's my problem. People are surprised because I'm an engineer. I should just follow the recipe by the book, and I'm not. I just go out, open the fridge, and I'll just make up something, and it will taste good. And it's just my creation. I love feeding people, and as you know, I haven't missed a meal in a while. But I love feeding people. I love taking, because I believe strongly that breaking bread and having a meal with people actually brings tension down. And I believe in it. And it's my doctor may not like it, but I think it's the right thing to do. Is I love to work with people, serve people, talk to people, and make food. Food is for me is also, if I take my frustrations out, and I just my creative thinking. So I actually don't follow recipes. And as my wife tells me, my whatever I make, I can't repeat it again. It doesn't happen. It'll just either be better or worse, but it's not the same. So I love doing that, and I love Middle Eastern food. I love I make Thai food, Chinese food, anything, Indian food, doesn't matter. I just will cook. I'm not good at cleaning afterwards, but cooking is a good thing for me. And that tells me, you know what, it's how I bring people together. So I'll bring spices from here, things from here, open the fridge, see what's available. I'll just make it up. And that's what happened probably in my career, my job. It's just like, okay, what's in front of me? Let me make lemonade out of the lemons I have. Let me make whatever I have in front of me. And not give up, right? Not say, oh, I need every recipe. I need to have everything here for me to make it. The answer is no, you don't have to have everything in front of you, right? Just make it happen. And it will taste good. And that's what I'm saying to everyone in my job is hey, it will be good. Not everybody has to be just, let's bring everybody, put a little spice from here, little thing from, and that's probably the one water recipe is not like perfect recipe. It's like whatever comes out from the discussions, right? And that's, it's good, the analogy. I appreciate that kind of connection. But one day I think I shared a recipe with somebody on one of your colleagues about one thing I do. So it's good to see you on that one.
Well, maybe what we do is we have some quarterly meeting with our board of directors, and we'll have a celebrity chef come in, and instead of talking water policy, we're going to talk about cooking with Adel.
So we went to Hetchy with my friends in San Francisco PEC a while back with a number of general managers, and actually we had a cook-off, and I didn't know what to cook, and I think and they just pulled to the grocery store before we went up to Hetchy, and I pulled a couple of things: onions, parsley, meat, this and that. And everybody said, "What are you gonna make?" I said, "I don't know, but I'll figure that out when I get there." And then I did it. It came out good, and everybody enjoyed it. And everybody said that was not fair. I said, "What fair? I didn't know what I'm gonna make. I just made it. I did it." Well, it was fun, and I'd love to do that. We'll maybe do another podcast saying, a cooking show with the general manager of water.
There you go. I think famous cooks from the water industry. That would be fun. Adel, I cannot thank you enough for being a guest and helping launch your new tenure as a general manager at Metropolitan. Clearly, I think folks, as they see this and as they meet you, and as I said, you're like the Energizer Bunny. Eh? I mean, to the extent you can be everywhere, my goodness, I mean, you have been everywhere. And I clearly see the energy, the passion that you bring with it. It is a tough job. I mean, people kind of forget, right? That's the water company. No, we're really talking about nation state here. And we're really big and diverse, and there's a lot of opinion, and there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved. And you're really steering a ship in a different direction. And a direction that hopefully sets us up, for the 22nd century. Because what you do today is really about, where we're going to be 30, 40, 50 plus years from now. And as you said, we stand on the shoulders of the Mulhollands and some really paramount leaders of the past. That's what we're doing now for the next generation.
And I thank them all for what they've done all the way to the work that was done, with Jeff and others and the general managers before me, the 13 general managers before me, and all the leadership at the board. I'm so proud that finally we had a retreat with the board. They're coming together. They're really working together. And you said something that's one thing that we should never forget, that what we're doing is for the people. And that when you start thinking about that, it makes everything, all that small differences we have will go away. It's about the people that we care for. And I'm thank you for this opportunity to really share my passion and my commitment to a future of water for everyone.
Adel Hagekhalil, General Manager of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us at What Matters Water TV and Podcasts. If you like today's discussion, go to wherever you download your podcasts and give us a 5-star rating. That'll help us build our presence in this new world and on this format. If you're interested in helping sponsor this program, please reach out to us at socalwater.org and send us a message. As we close out today's show, I leave you with this challenge. Be a part of the conversation. Be a part of the solution. At the Southern California Water Coalition, we educate to advocate. So as public policy leaders have difficult choices to make, we help them make those informed decisions. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time on What Matters Water TV and Podcast.